Everything that you've been taught about money is wrong, and that's because most people out there have no clue what they're talking about, like my guy Sam here.
What are you talking about? I'm well versed in money. Now excuse me. As I was saying, everybody should invest all their money in FTX. All of it.
You see what I mean? Videographers these days.
Joining us is my man, Keala Kanae.
Obviously, he's an expert at what he does.
Here's 5 laws to getting rich. Number 1, yes, you can get rich working for somebody else. There's lots of rhetoric out there saying that the way to get rich is to invent something or become a business owner and what have you. But in reality, you can totally go to a job that you love every day and still get rich, because it's not how much you earn, it's how we manage what we earn that matters. And there's hundreds of thousands, if not more, examples of this throughout history. But here's just a couple that I learned about recently. The first comes from an audio course that I was going through by Dr. John Demartini, wherein he discussed the story of a woman that he had met, African-American woman who had never earned more than $2.50 an hour in her entire working career, but had over $10 million going to charity in her will when she passed. Another came from a book called The Psychology of Money, where they talked about a gentleman who had never earned more than a few dollars an hour in his working life, and yet in his will, he was leaving millions of dollars to friends, family, and loved ones upon his passing as well. Nobody even knew that he was rich. So how did they do it? Well, it really comes down to the age-old principle of save and invest. Earn more than you spend, save the rest, and invest it. Is it sexy? Is it exciting? No, not really. But you know what? It's proven over hundreds of years to pan out in the long run. And so there's probably no more tried and true principle than save and invest. Number 2, skills won't pay the bills. Some folks might be listening and say, what? You're that guy that's always talking about the importance of learning new skills. And yes, it's true. So hang with me. A perfect example to express what it is that I'm saying here is the recent documentary released on Netflix called Untold. And it's the story of the And One basketball brand. The founders of And One wanted to compete with Nike, and yet they couldn't afford any pro athletes. So they went out and they found, these athletes that were street ballers. And these people were phenomenally skilled. When they went out and found this talent, there was hundreds of people gathered around basketball courts in upstate New York to watch these quote-unquote no-names competing against themselves. They had all of the fancy footwork. They made the game much more attractive and exciting to watch. And before they knew it, they blew up in popularity all across America. Videos were going viral of these folks. They were selling out on DVDs. Their gear, their shoes, their jerseys were all selling out all across the country. These previously unknown basketball players were now sitting in stores signing thousands of autographs, autographing jerseys and other memorabilia thousands of times a day, and were becoming just as popular as some of the biggest names in the NBA. And yet we don't hear about the And One brand today, do we? Well, why is that? Because if you watch the documentary, as you'll see, those basketball players who had previously come from, the projects and were now getting paid fairly well to do this thing that they love, which is play basketball. What ended up happening is a lot of infighting within that group. Fighting with each other over who was making what money and why so-and-so was getting paid more, why the founders of the company had a steak dinner while they had pizza. Perfect example of the fact that success is the marriage of skill set and mindset. When we have skill set without mindset, we create a nightmare, because every day we wake up knowing that we're capable of more, but we're not out there getting it. We can look out into the world and see somebody else who's less talented, less skilled, earning more than we're earning and getting more out of life than we're getting. And mindset alone is no better. That's a fantasy. You can sit around and sing Kumbaya and light candles and create vision boards as much as you want, but until you have a skill to deliver to the marketplace, it's going to be useless. But bring those two things together, skill set and mindset, and that's how you unlock the dream. Number 3, highly leveraged skills will always beat high value skills. What do I mean by that? Well, would you agree that, a heart surgeon has a highly valuable skill? I mean, they save lives for a living. Nobody would argue that that's not a valuable skill. So why is it then that somebody like Conor McGregor, the famed UFC fighter who gets punched in the face for a living, has made hundreds of millions of dollars more than a heart surgeon? Well, it's really simple when you break it all down and understand it. That heart surgeon can only provide service or value to one person at a time. They can't have multiple people on their operating table. So while it's a highly valuable skill, there's no leverage on that skill. Whereas Conor McGregor, as an example, whose real value is entertainment, yes, he can throw punches and yes, he can take them. But he also understands that the service that he's providing to the world is ultimately entertainment, and people will pay handsomely in time, energy, and money to be entertained. And therefore, because he has millions and millions of people who will tune in all across the globe to see him perform, he's able to make hundreds of millions more as a result of that attention than that heart surgeon can. Even if we stand them next to each other and said, which one of these people provides more value to the world, any of us would argue that it's the heart surgeon. But because of leverage, the guy who gets punched in the face for a living, a skill that almost anybody could learn, well, he ends up making more. Highly leveraged skills always beat high value skills. Number 4, money can't buy happiness. Very popular myth. And here's the breaking news. Happiness can't buy you shit. As somebody who has gone from working in a coffee shop for minimum wage to earning over $100 million in my online business, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. And here's what I'll say. Flying private feels better than flying all the way in the back of the plane. Staying at the finest hotels, eating at the finest restaurants, going on vacations, not having to worry about the price of things when we go out shopping, all of those things make me a lot happier than I was when I was broke working in a coffee shop. Can money buy you happiness? No, true happiness is a choice. But let's be real. If you can be happy and broke, you can certainly be happy and rich. And number 5, and this is probably the most important, having a high value on money is critical. And listen close to what I'm about to say, because this is the reason why almost everyone will say, I want to make more money. But we all know only 1% of people actually get rich and create financial freedom. Why is that? Well, the majority of folks just do not have the values necessary in order for them to build real wealth. And this comes from a field of study known as axiology. Axiology is the study of value and worth. And through axiology, we can observe that every human being has a hierarchy of values, the things that we value most in our life down to the things that we potentially don't value at all. Here's a couple of examples of why this is so critical. Let's say on one side we have a mom who wakes up in the morning and the first thing that she thinks about is the kids' health, the kids' education, the kids' after school programs, and she dedicates tons of time and energy that revolves around those children and their well-being every day of her life. Now on the other hand, let's say that we have a woman who wakes up in the morning and the first thing that she thinks about is her business's challenges, her business's projects, the tasks that she has to complete throughout the day in order to execute on the needs of that business. Well, we can easily say that each of these people has a very different set of values. One has a high value on raising children. The other has a high value on building a business. The reason this is important is because every day we only have a finite amount of resources, time, energy, and money. And however we invest our resources will ultimately become our destiny. Our values dictate how we manage our resources. The person who has a high value on their children, the majority of their time, energy, and money is going to go to those kids. The person who has a high value on business, the majority of their time, energy, and money is going to go to that business. That's why this person might say, I want to go to the gym and get in shape because sitting behind a desk all day has, caused me to lose my physique. But they find that on a regular daily basis, they don't have any time, energy, and money left at the end of their day for them to invest enough of it long enough to see results in the gym. The person on this side who wants to raise children, might say, I want to start my own business and be financially independent. But they never invest enough time, energy, and money into having that business long enough for them to see sustainable results because all of those resources are being invested in those children instead. Neither is right or wrong, neither is good or bad. One isn't necessarily better than the other. This is why most people set goals and end up quitting long before they actually accomplish their goals. Most of us know that in order for us to build wealth, we need to save and invest. But most people don't do it. Why? Because they don't have the values necessary. This decomplexifies why it is that so many people say one thing, but then do another. When we set goals that are in conflict with our values, we end up experiencing symptoms like hesitation, procrastination, frustration, self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, and a host of others. And these aren't curses, they are blessings. They're designed to make us conscious of the fact that we are pursuing something that is not in alignment with our values. Because we cannot do that for a sustained period of time without feeling out of alignment. When we fulfill our values, when we live by our highest values, we experience fulfillment. And all of us want to achieve fulfillment in life. So if we don't have a high value on money, cash, wealth, financial independence, we can talk about it, we can wish for it, we can want it all we want, but we'll never actually achieve it. And why put ourselves through the pain and frustration and anguish of trying to achieve something that we're not truly in alignment with? So on any given day, we all have two choices. Either one, change our goals to match our values, or number two, change our values to match our goals, which is what I did. So listen, I hope you got a lot of value out of this video, my friend. And if you're somebody who's absolutely committed to creating creating more success in your life and your business, then make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell notification so you get notified every week when I drop more content like this. And in case we've never met before, my name is Keala Kanae. I went from working in a coffee shop for minimum wage to earning over $100 million in my online business. And I'm saying that only so that you know that everything I share on my channel comes from the real world knowledge of things I've learned and applied that have helped me create these results, which I share here in hopes that they help you create similar results as well. If you want to get more value out of these videos every week when I drop them, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell button. And by the way, watch this next video in the lineup where I'm gonna go much deeper on the topic of values.